Hi, y'all. It's not a live. If you tune in, don't think you've missed a live. You haven't. It's a few hours before Bob comes home. He's taking off work early, of course, for us to go to Pop's memorial this evening. And as I'm getting myself ready to go, both physically and emotionally, I was taking a stroll down memory lane in my head. And I kept drifting to the five senses that we, the living, possess. Most of us. I realize that some are born without and others are deprived of one or more of what is referred to as the five senses. And I just decided I wanted to talk about them to my viewers in relationship to Robert Delbert Brewer, my father-in-law. Sorry about the traffic noise. So the first one I thought about are was sight, and it made me remember the first time I laid my eyes on Pop. The very first thought that went through my head, the moment I looked at him, and I don't remember the occasion, but I certainly remember the reaction, was, well, I looked at my husband, Bob, and I said, "Oh, wow, you look exactly like your dad." And my mother-in-law said, "Yep, they both look like somebody moved out of the seat of their pants." Baggy drawers, just in the booty. So obviously I thought my Pop was handsome, and I knew what my hubby was going to look like as he aged. That was kind of cool. So I thought about smell. And in relationship to Pop, that made me think about when he would come to visit and bring his personal shave kit and toiletries. And he would usually come up and visit for like 3 days and 2 nights, but sometimes 4 days and 3 nights. And so there would be a shower, at least one, if not more, involved for him. So my bathroom would smell like his personal toiletries, which was way different, than ours. And I can still smell that. Pop smoked a pipe all the time I knew him, and I think for a long time before. And he smoked Captain Black tobacco, so he always smelled of Captain Black. And I thought of taste. And in relationship to Pop, well, I thought about foods. and beverages, and how when he was coming to visit, I always had to get, well, didn't have to, but because I really love him very much and wanted him to have what he likes, made sure there was Dr. Pepper in the house, breakfast cinnamon rolls, and French vanilla coffee mate, liquid, not powdered. Although he'd settle for powdered. Thought of hearing. And in relationship to Pop, I thought about how I can still hear his voice saying the blessing over Christmas dinners, Thanksgiving dinners, family dinners, their 50th wedding anniversary, which the celebration was held at the same big old Baptist church where we will be this evening for his memorial. As a matter of fact, it's the last time Bob and I were there together as a couple. But hearing his voice, blessing the food, asking God to bless his family, and he always, always, always asked God to bless our troops. Because Pop was, well, he was an MP during the Korean conflict era, and other things that he could never really tell us about during the Cold War. It was one of those I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you. And hearing the stories of his life. Often when he would come to visit, Bob would be at work during the day, you know. After Pop had retired. Sitting on the front porch with Pop, smelling his tobacco and listening to the stories of him growing up and being a teenager and his military service, and meeting my beautiful mother-in-law, Anita, falling in love with her and having children with her, and the jobs he'd had and the things he did at the jobs he'd had, and the friends he'd had and still had. The stories of being kind of wild when he was young, and then the story of, well, and I'll use his language, being saved. Jesus coming into his heart, and the 50 years of stories after that. And finally, I thought about touch. And in relationship to Pop. His son, my husband, Bob, and I cohabitated for 11 years before we tied the legal knot. And the day we got married, outside on a beautiful fall afternoon at a friend's Santa Fe style adobe home on the lake, Bob was the first to literally jump up out of his chair and rush to me and gather me in his arms and bend down and rather gruffly whisper into my ear, "Now I can finally call you my daughter." That was October 29th, 2011. So I want to say to my viewers, because we're in the land of the living, and there must be someone nearby, if not physically, that you can call and say, I love you. I like to see you. I love the smell of you. I love the sumptuous feast we have enjoyed together. I love the sound of your voice and the touch of your hand. And maybe do that before you go to bed tonight. Love is a beautiful thing, and it extends beyond the five senses. And I love my Pop. Rest in peace in the arms of the angels. Delbert Brewer, a.k.a. Pop. I love you.